Good afternoon and welcome to our ISSA webinar. My name is Erin Lash. I'm the Education Development Manager at ISSA, and our webinar today is sponsored by ISSA VEO. ISSA VEO is a new ISSA initiative, and it's dedicated to unifying, supporting, and elevating the Hispanic professionals who power the cleaning and facility solutions industries. It is built on the principles of Visión, Empeño y Oportunidad, which is vision, drive, and opportunity. And the movement is more than about a single annual conference. We had our first conference in September of last year, but it's about more than that. We're creating a year-round pathway for education, leadership development, and professional visibility. One of the pillars for VEO is technology and innovation. And as one of our sponsors from the conference that we had in September last year, we have KleenMark here with us today. And they're going to talk to you about one of the many ways that they're embracing technology. I want to do one small piece of housekeeping before we get started. We do encourage you to ask questions. We have some time at the end of the program to do some Q&A. You can put it in the question Q&A box, which is kind of moved in the Zoom dashboard. It's under, if you click on the three dots at the bottom in your Zoom dashboard, there's a place for the Q&A box, or you could just drop them in the chat and we'll get them to the panelists. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl Falstad.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited to be here, and before we get started, I want to give you a quick introduction to KleenMark. We are a family-owned commercial cleaning and facilities company that's based in Madison, Wisconsin, and our history goes back more than 60 years. We support a wide range of industries, from healthcare and education to manufacturing and commercial facilities, all by combining our innovative technology, our proven processes, and great people, along with our strong commitment to safety, compliance, partnerships, and of course, our technology-enabled solutions. We're proud of the work that we do and the people that make it happen. And speaking of people who make it happen, I have the pleasure to introduce two of my colleagues today from KleenMark. First, we have Joe Talatsko. He is our Milwaukee branch manager, and he just celebrated his one-year Cleaniversary. Joe brings a wealth of experience in facilities and environmental leadership with a career spanning both healthcare and commercial environments. His background includes EHS programs, regulatory compliance, and operational excellence, and we are thrilled to have his leadership and perspective as part of the KleenMark team. And next is Yuritsi Gonzalez, and she has been with the KleenMark family since 2009. She began her career as a cleaning technician, and through her strong work ethic and focus on continuous development, she's grown into several roles across the organization, including recruiter, medical account manager, and senior medical account manager. She was also the recipient of the Rising Star Award in 2024. And Yuritsi's dedication and well-rounded experience has now led her to her newest role as our branch manager at our Madison headquarters. Go ahead and take it away, Joe and Yuritsi.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and welcome everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you to ISSA VEO for the opportunity. And today on this webinar, we're going to talk about how KleenMark uses KleenTech, as we like to call it, to transform janitorial services. So like Erin said, at the end, we will have some time for questions, feedback. It's welcome. So yeah, we can get started. So this is the agenda for today. We're going to do a quick KleenMark overview, go over our core values, our three differentiators, our Clean 360 proven process, A3 Inspire integration. We have some videos that Joe will share and go over. And also some case studies that we will review. At the end, we'll do a brief recap, and then, like I said, Q&A. Clean team and overview. So who we are. Cheryl talked a little bit about who we are. We've been in business for over 16 years. Like she said, we are a family-owned business company. We do cover national territory, and we're proud to say that we're still family-owned. So we cover all major verticals: medical, biotech, manufacturing, food production, schools. you name it. Like Cheryl said, I'm the branch manager for Madison. We have two managers here in Madison, or two branch managers. It's our biggest location. So I oversee the medical portfolio. I'm in charge of hospitals, clinics, biotech, clean rooms. And then Joe Talatsko, he's our branch manager from Milwaukee. Then we have Cheryl, who did that wonderful introduction. She is our project and community outreach manager. Mike Staver, Chief Operating Officer. Scott Stevenson, he's our president. Brian Regnart, Director of Operations. Billy, who oversees our supply chain and distribution. And Kaylin, who is our marketing manager. KleenMark core values. So we have 3 core values: trust, teamwork, and results. Trust, if we say we'll do it, we will do it. It's that simple. We give the trust to our customers and also to our frontline employees. And then we evolve into teamwork. I like to say that teamwork, it's my favorite core value. Just Cheryl kind of went over how I started with the company as a cleaning technician, and then I moved my way up into recruiting, and then eventually a manager. I have been fortunate enough that I have had a great team alongside, and that's one of my biggest pillars and how I've been able to succeed in the company. So teamwork, it's my favorite core value. And then, of course, if you have trust and teamwork, we achieve results. And like I said, not only for our customers, but also for our frontline employees. KleenMark, it's a great company to work for, and we want to make sure that they understand what it means to trust each other, to work together, and of course to achieve their results, whether it's providing great customer service or it's moving up in the company to a different role. And then we have differentiators. We have 3 clean standards. So here at KleenMark, we like to say that we clean not only for aesthetics or for it looks clean, but we like to go above and beyond, and we like to clean for health, especially those highly regulated areas such as hospitals or clinics, labs. We like to take it a step above and deliver quality services. And then technology, that's what this webinar is all about. Joe will share 2 items that we're currently using: Inspire app and the A3 lumen tester. So those are some of the items that we are currently using and testing. As we all know, technology is a big part of our daily lives nowadays. So here at KleenMark, we like to innovate and integrate and test new things. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but we like to stay up on any new items that are coming. And then, of course, integrated solutions. One of the things that I really like working here at KleenMark is that we are a full integrated company. We here, as an operator, it's very easy for me to do my job, and for other operators as well. When you have supplies, chemicals, and equipment all in one single place, and that's what KleenMark does for us. We get to go to the warehouse, order our items, even if we are not local in Madison, where our headquarters is, but any other state, everything it's here. We do have our certified technicians that can repair our equipment. So sometimes equipment comes in and less than 24 hours, it's ready to go back into the field. So that's it's truly a blessing to be a part of a company that offers everything to make our jobs easier, and of course to deliver a better service to our customers. This is our Clean 360 proven process. This is what I like to call our Bible. This is how we do business. We average about 5 startups a month. So we came up with this to make it easy for us and use it internally, and also to offer it to other companies as well. So what we do is we go into a customer, a building, whether if the customer is looking for equipment or supplies, or if they're just have questions about quality or staffing, this is what we use. Regardless of what the need is, this is how we start. And we start off by going through a scope of work. Sometimes customers don't have a scope of work, so we have to create a scope of work for them. That's what we started off. Once we have that, we know what the needs are. We create an SOP. So this is how we believe we're going to solve your issues. And then it just all evolves into this circle of what we use. We do have a preferred partner for chemicals, which is SC Johnson. That's who we work with. However, some of those highly regulated facilities, such as hospitals, want to use a different chemical. That's always a yes for us. We want to make sure we're delivering positive, a quality service for you, but also go with whatever regulations the customer has. So if we have to use a different chemical, we will use it. And then technology. We assess the locations. We walk and we listen. What can we put a robot in here? We do have some customers that are okay with that, others that are not okay with that. And then, of course, safety and training plays a huge part of it. We do have a dedicated safety manager that visits all of our locations and makes sure that we are doing things the way we're supposed to do them. And also that the buildings that we're servicing, they're safe buildings for our frontline team to be performing their daily duties in there. Validation and technology, that's what Joe will cover today. Two types of items that we use. So Joe will go more into depth in talking about those two, and measure and improve. We do work with preferred partners to do our digital monthly inspections. Those inspections, those results are shared with the customers and are used in business reviews. And that's how we make the whole loop of integrating all of the solutions that we offer. So we can move on to the next slide. Oh, this is Joe. Joe, I will let you speak on it.
Thank you, Yuritzin. So one of the areas that we really want to focus on in the janitorial field as a whole is minimizing risk. I have kind of a funny story about this because in this field, you know, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. So planning for the webinar today, out of nowhere, the office Wi-Fi's out. Got to find a different plan, right? So we're always looking for a backup, what works, how can we minimize that risk? So the nice thing about Inspire is it's augmented reality that's based on a platform application, and it really helps to minimize the risk between the consistency of training. So essentially, there will be a video after this, but to break it down, you can see there's a blueprint on the left-hand side. When I reference augmented reality, I think the one that everybody knows the most is Pokemon Go. I know it's kind of silly, but you know, that's really kind of where things started, but you can see how amazing it's gotten. And now it's gotten to the janitorial field to really help us to create a training program that's going to cut down on training time. It's going to make it easier. It's going to have SDS information. It's going to show you how to clean. It's going to have information for use. And ultimately, it's going to be a library you can take anywhere. So this actually uses LiDAR technology, which allows you to map the room out. Once you map out the room, you'll put down a tag like you see there on the toilet, and that'll have all the presets in there. Now, all this stuff can be completely set to the expectations of the facility. So if you use a certain product, you can put that in there. If there's certain PPE, you can put that in there. SDS information, all of that is set just at your fingertips. Why is this great? Well, this is great because if you have OSHA, if you have Joint Commission, if you have some regulatory audit agency coming through, all of it is right there. And any staff member has availability of this. So, for example, if you have somebody who's out sick and somebody's covering their area, they can bring up this application, and it's actually going to give them a duty list for the room, what chemicals to use, and everything in between. So it's really nice to use this to build the expectations of the facility as different clients have different needs. And you'll see that in the next video here.
Inspire is an easy-to-use augmented reality training app designed specifically for cleaning professionals. In an industry challenged by high turnover and limited training time, Inspire helps streamline onboarding and training, reduces costs, and improves day-to-day efficiency by standardizing cleaning procedures. The process is simple and extremely effective. Using a phone or tablet we scan a room to create a 3D blueprint of the entire space. This includes surfaces and objects like tables, chairs, fixtures, and other items present in the room. Once the room is scanned, we place digital tags on key areas and surfaces. Each tag can provide step-by-step instructions, including which chemicals to use, how to clean the surface properly, and access to important resources like the safety data sheet and usage information. This creates a consistent clean across teams, shifts, and locations, making it easier for staff to follow the correct process without relying on memory or informal training. Inspire can also be used in tandem with the Kikkoman A3 lumen tester to validate surface cleanliness. Inspire guides the cleaning process, and A3 helps verify results using fast, measurable testing. Inspire also supports internal and external auditing by making procedures and documentation easy to access without sorting through excessive paperwork. By improving consistency and reducing missed steps, Inspire helps raise the standard of cleaning performance across the facility.
Essentially in the video, it shows the mapping progress, different areas you can use it. And one of the things that's phenomenal about that is it really breaks down specialized areas. So for those that are in food manufacturing, those that work in the medical profession, if you have clean rooms, if you have operating rooms, you can set everything the way you want it. And that's even breaking down like bio waste, chemo waste, any regulatory process you need. You can really modify it to each room. And Inspire has been fantastic with that as far as if you give them anything, they can pretty much create it. So they're really going to help you to build that expectation for that facility. So the next part we're going to move into is Kikkoman A3. So we're going to kind of break down what is A3, how it works, and how we utilize it to validate the cleanliness of our facilities. So most people that are here, if they work in food manufacturing or they do work in the hospital setting, they're probably familiar with ATP. For those that aren't, essentially the testing, it involves taking a swab, putting in some type of Luma tester, and then finding out what's on the surface. So why is this different? Why is it better? So ATP is what a lot of places use, and it's just universal energy molecules. Now, over time, as you clean, there's a breakdown of ADP and AMP, which still can be left on the surface, and ATP generally will not pick that up. That's why A3 is so incredible as far as finding out how to validate a process that actually recognizes that there's still a soiled surface, which means it's going to be contaminated. So as we're moving through this, yes, you may get a false negative at some point because it's saying that, we have a reading of 0 as far as the scale is concerned. But as you can see here, ATP, it's going to degrade over time as you clean. ADP and AMP are going to increase over time because there still may be something left on the surface. There may not have been enough dwell time. Maybe it wasn't cleaned properly. Maybe, there was a certain area that was checked irregularly. So the 3 different indicators here really break down the biomolecules that happen to be on the surface. This really helps to find all of them, not just the one. So as I kind of talked about earlier, it's very simple to use. It takes maybe 10 seconds to get a reading on this. Now, something I do want to say is it's not going to tell you exactly what's on the surface, but it's going to let you know that this surface is soiled. So you're going to swab the surface. Generally, it's going to be about 10 seconds, and you're going to make kind of a square going back and forth either way. And then you're going to insert the swab in a Luma tester, and it's going to give you the results in 10 seconds. From that point, you're going to know whether or not it's clean based off the threshold that's set for the facility.
The Kikkoman A3 lumen tester is the only swab system that detects all 3 adenylates in one test: ATP, ADP, and AMP. This all-in-one approach provides greater sensitivity and stronger validation of surface cleanliness. It's a simple process to validate. swab the sample area, place the swab into the case body, insert it into the lumen tester, and within 10 seconds, you'll see the results displayed for that surface. Independent laboratory testing has proven that the Kikkoman A3 detects residues and microorganisms that other kits miss. This makes it ideal for facilities like hospitals, food manufacturing, and any environment with strict auditing requirements, where verifying sanitation matters. In a world where audits happen regularly, the A3 lumen tester makes it easier to support a safer, cleaner environment by creating a consistent database of results, giving your team confidence and peace of mind.
So the way we break things down as far as how we utilize the beginning to the end is we're utilizing Inspire to really set the experience, if you will, for the client. We want to set up training that is consistent. Once again, that's not only just going to help you with making sure that, if you have a regulatory audit come through, that you have all the information, but it's going to cut down on your training time and costs, because you're going to spend less time, because now you have standardized it in a platform that you can take anywhere and any manager can utilize. Now, the nice thing about that is you're also going to save money as far as if somebody's filling in the area. It's not going to take more time to clean. Yes, there is a learning process, but once they do understand that everything's in there as far as the chemicals, how to clean, surface type, everything across the board, it really helps as a whole. Now, touching based on that with the A3, by us having this validation, we're not just saying that the surface is clean because we've gone through and inspected it, right? We're proving it. The numbers are there. We're showing the progressions. We're showing how it works. The nice thing about this is also going to help to save a company money as well, because you know that there's not, anything viral or any bacteria that happens to be on the surface, because you have the numbers that are there. And it's going to show you over time that your team's getting better, or there's maybe some areas of opportunity, or maybe there's some other things that you'll identify. And that'll show in the case studies here. So the janitorial and commercial, the thresholds that are set, as you can see, they do look a little bit higher than what you're probably typically used to for ATP. You're probably used to a scale about 0 to 50. Now, what you have to realize is this is testing ATP, ADP, and AMP. So now we're testing 3 different things. So the threshold is going to be a little bit larger, and that shouldn't scare you. The nice thing about this, as I said, is it really shows your progression, but it helps you to set a threshold that works for the facility, because generally we're not going to have the same standard for a commercial facility as we will for medical, as we will for food manufacturing. So these are just some general numbers here that are put out there and suggested for different areas and surface type. So we did a case study this last June going into July. And as you can see here, we ran through at SC Johnson, and we tested the same conference room over the course of a month. Now, granted, these are not your typical surfaces. We had some very porous tables. We had some odd swing out tables, but everything was tested the same. Now, if you're looking at the left-hand side, before cleaning, that's definitely lower from the first test to the last test. So what does this prove to us? What this proves is that with us using Inspire in correlation with the A3, we've had a consistency in training. So whoever is going in there, they know what they're cleaning, and they're making sure that's taken care of. So now it's cleaner even before we get to it the next time. And talking about thank you. So the middle there, you probably noticed the numbers were a little bit higher. And actually what we found as we were going through this case study is that we had a chemical malfunction within our washing machine. So it wasn't cleaning things properly. So it actually set them higher. So not only are we testing surfaces to make sure that they're clean, we're making sure that our process is 100% efficient. And that's really going to help out. It's going to save money. And ultimately, it's going to prevent people from getting sick. It's going to keep people in the workplace. It's going to make sure that our cleaners are being absolutely thorough when they're going through, but they're being consistent about it. So by pairing these two over time, it shows that not only are you having the after cleaning, be a better number, if you will, but even the before cleaning, and that should give your client or yourself a peace of mind, knowing that whoever cleaned it, they did a great job last time, and the numbers are continuously going down. So some of them are even sitting in the clean threshold. So talking about, can you go back 1 second, please? So just kind of going over this, you can compare products to what you feel is applicable to your situation. Not everything, fits the same, but it does give an idea as far as how products work together and which ones are the best. You can look over them and find out which one might be more cost effective. For us, we just use these two because typically, depending on what facility we're in, we would use one or the other. So as we can see, they're pretty identical, which is great, but it also gives you that peace of mind of knowing that what you're paying for is what you get.
And then this one over here, we did a case study, another one with a different customer, specifically in the medical field. And what we came up with, some of the challenges that we had is what Joe mentioned. It's the numbers, of course, the number difference, where customers are used to seeing a very low number. And with the ATP A3 Kikkoman, it's a very different number. So it kind of triggers like, oh, it's not being cleaned. No. Like he said, we are testing 3 different molecules. So what we learned from this one is that with the customer, we were doing only once a month, checking once a month. And we took it a step farther and we did weekly. So now we're using it as whether it's for training purposes or random audits, because since we have the system here, we can just pop in and make sure we're doing quality audits by ourselves, not even with the customer. And we got great results. That's something that the customer really liked. And our partnership with this particular customer has grown, and we are their main cleaning provider for their whole portfolio. So they're very happy with the approach that we took, proactive approach that we took in taking things into our hands and making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So just a brief recap of what we talked about today. We know you guys are going to have some questions at the end, but the results that we get are stored and they can be easily transferred or shared however you need them. Those results are in there for you to compare, whether it's a monthly thing or it's a floor to floor or whatever challenges you might have. You can kind of dig in there and access those results, those numbers. So the locations are saved as well. So you have if it's a room number, you have a room number, or if it's a name of a conference, you'll have that. So you can reference that as well. And it helps with training, like Joe said, consistent training. That's one of the biggest challenges that we see, especially if there's high turnover or in certain locations. If we have those tools and we're using it the way we're supposed to be using them, we have a great rate of success. So I think that's that. Yes. So like I said at the beginning, we have some process and we have learned, if I'm completely honest with you, sometimes not the easy way. We have come along this road and with some bumpy things in our way, but we have been able to make it happen. And we are at a spot right now where we can either improve our services internally or even share it externally. So our goal is always to help our customers and to keep our frontline employees happy. So yeah, I guess it's time for questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe and Yuritsi. Great job. A lot of great information there. I just want to remind you, if you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A portion or in the chat. I don't see anything right there in Q&A right now, but I did see a question from Bob Stapleton, and he was wanting to know, Joe Yuritsi, how long does the setup for each area take on an average account? And this is regarding the Inspire 3.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that really depends on the size of the facility and the size of the room. and the different components that happen to be in there. I know you probably want a number, and I hate to give you that gray area, but if I were to give you kind of a ballpark, I'd say anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes per room, depending on how many components are in there. So if you have tables, you have a sink, you have a garbage can, depending on if you want to add lights, if it's a bathroom, if you want to add, urinals, toilets, everything across the board. I think it really depends on the components that are there, but ultimately you won't be spending more than 5 to 10 minutes to set it up. And you can preset all that information to go with the chemicals for the actual component that's in the room. So that's very helpful.
Okay, great. Thanks for that, Joe. Let me just make sure. We did have some questions submitted ahead of time, but I want to capture any that you all are putting in the chat and the Q&A. I'm going to double check the Q&A. All right. While you're still thinking of some questions, I'm going to go ahead to some that were submitted ahead of time. And in no particular order or anything. So is the results of the A3, which is the ATP, ADP, and the AMP, I can't remember what that stands for. I can't say it. So are the results useful to get customers, your client satisfactions? And what's the best way that we deliver that information to them? Is that a report or in a presentation? What does that look like?
That's a great question, Cheryl. So with the A3, there's different ways you can do it. Everybody likes to report differently, but you can actually use the application. All the information is stored in there, and you can share it that way. Or if you use another program, you can enter the data in there. The nice part about that, and the reason why it's valuable for clientele, is it gives you an auditing history of how clean the facility is. So if there's ever any question like, was this taken care of? Are you guys looking at different areas? Just like inspections, we have those numbers that are there, and it shows the cleanliness of the facility. So if you have, let's just use medical, for example. If you have Joint Commission come through, they're going to have those numbers on hand, and they're going to see how often a place has been cleaned, what exactly is there, and the numbers, how they progress over time. So it really kind of gives you that database, so you can bring that to the client and just let them know, hey, here's where we're at. Now we can set a new KPI. So if we were doing this good, we can always do a little bit better, and just showing the improvements.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks for that explanation, Joe. I see another question in the chat from Nobayoshi, and they're wanting to know, does the Kikkoman A3 have any certification?
I don't know it off the top of my head, but I want to say it's the AOAC certification that they have. So it's been lab tested. Kikkoman being, everybody knows them for, I can't talk right now. Soy sauce. Everybody knows them for soy sauce. The food manufacturing has very strict testing methods. So they have to run through a rigorous process. They created this division just for this to make sure that their facilities were sanitary. So yes, it has been lab tested.
Okay. And I thought of a question during this too. So for the Inspire and the Kikkoman tester, what does the training look like this, Joe or Yuritsi, for the team members who are using it? And is it something that's easily for us to adapt to for the end users who might be new to the technology?
The biggest challenge as far as training goes, Cheryl, is the numbers, learning the metrics, learning what you're looking for. That's the biggest challenge. As far as using the tools, no, it's not difficult at all. We did a case study, the one I was more involved in, for a month, just because we wanted to get the numbers right. We wanted to see what we were coming up with, and making sure the actual account managers or supervisors who are doing the testing know what they're looking for. And it's not difficult at all. No, it might seem a bit nerve-wracking at the beginning because you're just getting the hang of it, and like, okay, how do I put the swab in there? How do I take it out? What does this reading mean? But no, it's not difficult at all. It's pretty easy to to do it. And once you get the hang of it, you can teach anyone.
Okay. And how are we using this in our everyday activities? Either one of these pieces of technology?
Well, the A3, the limit tester, like I said earlier, we use it either for training or retraining or showing results to our customers. So mainly surgery rooms, procedure rooms, exam rooms. We pair it up with our glow gel and UV light testing. And just to, like I said, go a step above, we use that to make sure the surface was properly cleaned. Because sometimes if the gel is gone, yes, they clean that area, but was it properly clean? Was the chemical sitting in there for the right amount of time and stuff like that? So yeah.
Okay. So to piggyback off of that too, so what do you say is the best piece of equipment to use to see where the germs are on the surface, or anything that we might have in our hands, like maybe our mouse, for our computer and stuff? What would be best used for that?
So definitely, I like to use the glow gel. I like to use the glow gel just because that can serve you as a training tool. But once you want to go in depth and actually know if, like I said, employees are cleaning the way they're supposed to be cleaning, the A3 limit tester, that's the way to do it. The numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. So yeah.
Yeah. Joe, you mentioned in one of your slides about thresholds. Who is making the determination of those thresholds? Is that customers or the actual manufacturers or a certification body? What does that look like for us?
Yeah, so Kikkoman actually makes the thresholds set that are in there. They have, I can get the link for you if you'd like. They have a threshold based off of the type of industry it happens to be. But that's not to say that you can make more strict thresholds yourself. So, like I talked about with the progression of the cleaning, even though there may be a threshold, you may set yours a little bit higher as far as the expectation, but those are set as far as industry standards.
Another question we had was, how do you assess the level of the efficiency in your operations using these tools or this technology?
That's a great question. I think I should answer that with a question.
Okay.
What amount of risk would you like to have? And I think that ultimately determines what efficiency is minimizing the risk in the overall operation. So as we saw in the 360 process, we try and utilize everything to minimize risk. So we want to make sure that we have consistent training. We want to make sure that we have the proper product. We want to make sure that we're bringing on the right staff for the right area, the knowledge that they may have, using the correct equipment, ultimately validating the work that they're doing, and then submitting the results or KPIs. Numbers don't always tell everything, but I can tell you that it does make it a lot easier when you're speaking with a client or you're trying to look at historical data and you see how far you've come versus where you've started and what sets you apart from, let's say, a competitor.
Okay. So that leads me to another question, Joe. When we're introducing this technology to our customers, what's their initial thoughts, and are they quick to adapt to it, or is it kind of hesitant to the technology and I guess to the validation or efficacy of both of the products?
I think most are quite intrigued because a lot of this stuff, technology moves so fast. So making sure that not only do you stay ahead with it, but you know how to utilize it in the right way makes a big difference for not only your company, but the client as well. Because nowadays people want KPIs as soon as they can get them, right? Either they want it like an hour, or they want it in a week, or they want it in a month. So being able to make that easy for them and giving them easy access to store it so they can utilize the way they need to, I think that really helps them to understand when we bring it up front, because they see how they can use that in their own scope.
Sounds good. Thank you. Anybody else on the webinar have any questions for our panelists today? Okay.
Going once?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's all the questions that we had. Thank you for submitting yours online and ahead of time. And I'll pass it back over to Erin.
Okay. Well, I want to say first and foremost, thank you to Joe. Thank you to Yuritsi. Thank you for Cheryl. And thank you, KleenMark, for your wonderful support of ISSA and our VEO movement. With that, I do have here, let me click on this before I close anything out. I just put a link in the chat for our next webinar. We have our next VEO webinar is coming up on May 19th. It is Ready, Set, Go, Launch Your Career in the Cleaning Industry, which also represent leadership is another of the pillars for VEO. So this is how you, this is for frontline workers, but it's also for employers on ways that you can help lift your employees. So this is a great opportunity to get your team involved in VEO. So I put the link in the chat for that. I think Martha had already shared a chat to our VEO page, just so you can kind of keep up to date on what other programming we have in store, in addition to our VEO conference, which is in Dallas in September this year. So with that, I do want to say thank you again to KleenMark, and we will see you in May.
Thanks for having us, Erin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.